Well, my fellow politicos, it's that time of year again to get really deep into this big political smorgasbord I like to call the 2019 North Carolina Republican Party Convention. And we're just about 4 weeks out now from when the convention starts. And 4 weeks, 30 days prior to the convention, what happens? Well, the committee reports get released. And this is where yours truly will go in and I'll slice and dice and dissect and deep fry these reports to the best of my ability and try to give you the listener and the activist the best advice I can of how you should be voting on various reports and well as what changes should be made and modifications should be made to these reports. The first thing though is we need to talk about registration for this convention. If you haven't already registered for the convention, stop this video right now and go to the NCGOP website, click on convention, and from there you go register. Personally, I only recommend you register for the business session. The fee is going to be $80 total. That includes the it's $75 plus a $5 administration fee to I think the company that the NCGOP uses is C-Vent or something for their for managing their various business transactions, credit card transactions, that sort of thing. So please register for the convention if you haven't already done so. And also, unless you live like 10 or 15 minutes away from Concord, trust me, you are going to want to have hotel arrangements for this convention. Yeah, I mean, you could be, oh, Bobby, I live in Winston-Salem, an hour away. I'm going to commute to and from the convention site. Look, let me tell you, as a guy who has been to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this is my 6th convention now. At the end of the business session on Friday and Saturday night, you're going to be so worn out. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, I got to drive an hour. Oh, jeez. You're going to be so wanting to just drop into that bed in that hotel room and order pizza delivery, okay? Just in my own experience. Please, unless you live 5-10 minutes away from Concord, book a hotel. And look, you don't have to pay $200 a night in Concord. You can go stay near where I'm staying, right by UNC Charlotte, and pay like $65-$75 a night, you know? Very reasonable. So the registration for this event, let's go ahead and get I'm gonna look that up for you here. Okay. I'm happy to report that the NCGOP, for now the 6th consecutive year, is continuing Thursday registration. Okay, the convention begins on Friday, but registration will begin on Thursday for the 6th consecutive year. And it should be noted, this will be held at the Embassy Suites at 5400 John Q. Hammonds Drive, Northwest, Concord, North Carolina. So, okay. This, to my knowledge, will not be at the convention center. The registration will not be. Now, the convention will be at the convention center, but they're right in the same building anyway, so you should be able to find it. Now, what's different this year, in the past 5 years, that registration would always run from like 12 to 6 on Thursday. This year, the party decided to cut that from 3 in the afternoon till 6 in the afternoon. I'm glad they still have the Thursday registration, but I'm not pleased that they they took away the 12 to 3 registration, because now if you want to register on Thursday, you're kind of flirting with that really Charlotte rush hour traffic. Now I'm still going to register on Thursday because that's just what I like to do. I like to get that goodie bag and that convention agenda as soon as I can. And for you, my lovely audience, I always like to do a pregame show on the night before the convention to kind of set the scene for the entire. It helps me to set the stage for the entire weekend. If I wait until Friday to register, to me, the convention weekend, in my opinion, it just does not run as smoothly, because when you get there a day before, you can start to kind of look around the convention area and see where you need to go the entire weekend. If you get there on Friday, you're going to be like a chicken with its head cut off. You're going to register, you're going to breakout session, you're going to find, oh my gosh, where's the business session? You're just going to go crazy. So please try to get there Thursday, okay? And also, I hope you're not one of those ones who try to leave Raleigh at 11 a.m. on Friday and try to think you're going to be in Concord by 1. Okay? No, it does not work that way, okay? You can't try and force yourself, to think you're going to leave Raleigh and give yourself 2 hours to get to Charlotte on a Friday in summertime traffic. No, okay? Please try to register on Thursday. Okay, I'm done rambling on that, okay? Now, for those of you who want to wait until Friday to register, okay, fine. The registration is going to open at 9 a.m. and it's going to conclude at 12:30 p.m. Now, it should be noted that over the last couple days, again, the state party has added breakout sessions. Yay! On Friday morning. The first one is from 10 to 11, and the second one is from 11:15 to 12:15. Okay. They're two different breakout sessions. That's all they're offering as of right now. There could be more choices, but right now, one is on urban voting outreach, and the other is on basically RNC data. Those are the two sessions. You can go to one, you can go to urban vote and then RNC, or you can go to RNC and then urban vote, whichever you want to do, okay? Alright, so the business session is going to begin Friday at 1 p.m., okay? Do not be late. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay. And then for those of you who for some reason can't make it on Friday afternoon, well, registration will still be open. Okay, registration is going to open up for 1 hour upon recess of the general session. What does that mean? Well, if the business session gets over Friday at 5, registration is going to be from 5 to 6. Now, if it doesn't get over till 6:30, registration is going to be from 6:30 to 7:30. And then for those of you who can only make one day, alright, fine. Well, it's going to open up bright and early at 7:30 a.m. and go to 9:15 a.m. I will note that the business session on Saturday morning will begin at 8:45 a.m. Bright and early, folks. And then the final time you can register, I mean, if you're really, really struggling to make this convention, but you still want to participate in the chairman's vote Saturday afternoon, okay, your registration time is going to be when the morning session, upon recess of the morning session. So that could be 11:30, it could be 12, it could be 12:30. But remember, okay, all delegates must be registered by 1:30 p.m. on Saturday, June 8th, 2019, in order to participate in the Saturday afternoon business session. Got that? I hope so. Okay, good. Alright. Now we get to go into my favorite part of these committee reports. That is the Plan of Organization Committee Report. And this year there are 13 amendments. Wow. Now, that may seem like a lot, but some of them, probably 3 or 4 of them at least, are just grammar things, and one of them you could actually combine with another amendment and do that sort of thing. But still, hopefully these will be long yet productive business sessions at the convention. Let me see here. Okay, I got to get to Amendment number 1. Okay. Amendment 1. And if this is your first time being exposed to this year's Plan of Organization report, then this one's going to hit you hard, okay? Because it deals with vacancies and removals. Gee, when we talk about vacancies and removals, who could we be discussing, Yeah, if you said Robin Hayes, you win $1 million, okay? No, I'm not paying it. This is in, regarding the now former chairman Robin Hayes, and you all know what kind of hot water he got himself in, but okay. Basically, this is going to add some text to vacancies. It's a whole new part of the Plan of Organization, okay? Article 6, State Organization Plan, Point B, State Executive Committee, Amendment number 5, Vacancies and Removals. A vacancy in the office of state chairman shall be filled by the next ranking committee member until the state executive committee elects a successor. The order of rank shall be vice chairman, then secretary. A meeting of the state executive committee shall be called within 60 days of the vacancy for the purpose of electing a state chairman. A vacancy in the office of state vice chairman shall be filled at a meeting of the state executive committee, which shall be called within 60 days of the vacancy. And then part 3, a vacancy in the office of district chairman shall be filled by the next ranking committee member until the state executive committee elects a successor. The order of rank shall be vice chairman and then secretary. If there is more than one vice chairman, then the order of rank shall be first vice chairman, then second vice chairman, and last but certainly not least is the secretary. Okay. So, and then the explanation that I'll read, it says this defines the order of succession in the event of a vacancy in the office of state chairman or district chairman. Specifies that elections to fill vacancies for state chairman and state vice chairman will be held within 60 days of the vacancy. I agree with the concept here, but personally I think 60 days is a bit of a long period. I would say 30. Well, I would say 30 days, but the thing is, though, with the Robin Hayes situation, the way it played out, it was like, the 1st or 2nd of April, he got indicted and was forced to step down from the state chairman's spot. The problem with this happening in March and April is, guess what you have to do? You have to deal with county conventions and district conventions. And in an odd number year, the state executive committee there's going to be a lot of turnover at the district convention. So 60, I would say this one, if it's if the chairman, if the chairman office, if there's a vacancy and it happens between June and March, or February, March, okay, 60 days, no, 30 days, it should be 30 days, but if it happens in March and April, then 60 days I think is appropriate. So this one, trying to find the right wording for it, but yeah, 60 days I can live with, but I'd prefer 30 days, okay? Amendment 2, this one deals with National Convention delegate selection. North Carolina, thankfully, is and has always been a proportional state versus a winner-take-all state. I think proportional is always the way to go. Because especially when, like in 2024, what's going to happen is when you have an open seat for the presidency, proportional allows for different, allows for more of a melting pot of ideas for who the president should be, and also allows for a chance for there to be a brokered convention, which I think could be a very good thing, in my opinion. But basically, this amendment, it says, well, the Republican National Convention rules require that delegates be allocated on a proportional basis under certain conditions. This amendment brings the plan organization compliance with RNC rules. Excuse me. And if you want to read more about that Amendment 2, please do so. That one's more of has a lot more relevance for next year than this year, so I'm not going to waste a lot of time on it. Amendment 3. Amendment 3, you can also say 3 plus 9, because they both kind of build on each other, okay? Basically, what this is it deals with who gets to call the district convention. It's going to add a sentence that says, in presidential election years, when National Convention delegate selection is held, the state party chairman, in consultation with the district chairman, shall issue the calls to convention. And apparently this amendment brings the plan organization in compliance with RNC rules. Okay, well, that one's okay, but when you go down to Amendment 9, this is where I just say, no, I don't like this at all. It sounds like a power grab. Because what happens is, Amendment 9, it says, okay, I'm going to read this sentence, okay. The Congressional District Executive Committee shall set the location of district conventions. Under proposed, the sentence set the location of district conventions is crossed out. Okay. And then, okay, so again, and then we're back to, in presidential election years, when the state convention delegate selection is held, the state party chairman, in consultation with the district chairman, shall issue the call to convention. This takes the power away from the district executive committee and puts it essentially, the power of 20 or 30 people, or no, 50, probably more like 50 people. It takes that power from 50 people into basically 2 people. I don't like that at all. And one of the biggest priorities that a district executive committee has And a district executive committee is required by the state plan of organization to meet at least 2 times a year. When I was on the when I was living in Wilmington and I was on the 7th district executive committee, one of the meetings every year took place usually in January or no later than February of that year. And the biggest topic we discussed was the district convention, where it was going to be held, what date, were we going to charge a fee. And I'm happy to say District 7 is probably the only one, 10 and maybe another one, but there are 13 congressional districts in North Carolina. Probably only about 3 or 4 of them charge 0 for a fee, and District 7 is one of them. What county is going to pay for the building, or is the whole entire district going to pay for the building? Are we going to have to fundraise? But in other words, the district executive committee knows the district, okay? They know where the good sites are. They know where the bad sites are. They know where the traffic problems are, where you shouldn't have district conventions. They know where the parking issues is. Okay, so basically, you're taking the ideas and opinions of 50 people and you're transferring to 2 people, and that is a terrible thing in my book. So I'm hoping that Amendment 3 and Amendment 9, please vote no on. Okay, Amendment 4. Let's see. Amendment 4. Okay. Public notice. Okay. Public notice is not currently defined. The proposed text defines public notice and replaces every reference to newspaper of general circulation with public notice. Proposed Article 9. Okay. Section 1, Notice -3, Public Notice. Public notice as used in this plan shall be defined as a procedure for informing interested persons by means that ensure full and timely notice to the public of the event requiring notice. The primary means for public notice should be the county, district, or state party's website. Other media such as radio, television, email, or U.S. mail may be used with approval of the State Credentials Committee. All public notices must appear or be broadcast at least 10 days prior to a convention or special meeting. And then, of course, references to newspaper or general circulation will be replaced with public notice. Okay. And then, let's see here. Let's see. This is for precinct meetings and county conventions, by the way. We're also striking an entire paragraph under meeting procedures. And then the final explanation for this is the amendment designates the county party's website as the preferred notification mechanism, but it allows a county party to deviate from the procedure with approval from the State Credentials Committee. The change does not preclude a county party from putting, the change, darn computer, come on. In the world, here we go. The change does not preclude a county party from putting additional notifications in other media without Credentials Committee approval, so long as the requisite notice is placed on the website. Okay. All right. Amendment 5. This one is pretty self-explanatory. I'll read the proposed sentence for what it's worth. All references to days shall mean calendar days unless otherwise stated. Amendment 5. That's like one of those amendments that I'm like, Really? Did you have to really do that? Okay. Amendment 6. Basically, this is going to change the written notice for having a precinct meeting from 15 days down to 10 days. This one I would bump up to 30 days because 15 days, 15 days is okay, but 10 days is really not a whole lot of notice for people to clear their schedules. People have a life outside of politics, and I know that my work schedule goes 3 weeks out, so I need at least 3 weeks notice, probably 4, even a month notice to make sure I have that day off so I can go to that event, right? So yeah, Amendment 6, no. Vote no on that, please. And if you can bump it up to 30 days, well, that would be great too. Okay. Amendment 7, General Administrative Procedure, Vacancies and Removals Notice. Okay. This one, let me read to you. Okay. Any member of a committee organized under the plan organization may be removed either by 2/3 vote of the respective committee after being furnished with notice of the charges against him, signed by the lesser of I, 50 members, or B, 1/3 of the members of the respective committee. Any Republican against whom charges are brought shall be furnished within 15 days, that's a change from 2 weeks' notice, 15 days' notice of said charges, and be given an opportunity to present a defense. Removal by a vote of the respective committee shall be confined to gross inefficiency, party disloyalty, as defined herein, or failure to comply with the county, district, or state party plans and organizations. Okay. This one, I'm okay with a 15 days notice because when somebody is when somebody needs to be removed from a party officer position or the executive committee due to gross inefficiency or party disloyalty or failure to comply with the plan organization, that in my opinion is an urgent matter and shall be dealt with. If you could get this down to 10 days, that would even be fine with me. But 15, I could say okay with that too. Okay, Amendment 8 is a grammar issue. Amendment 9 we already covered. Amendment 10 is a grammar issue. Amendment 11. Let's go down to there. Okay. Basically, in the preamble, we're adding a phrase that says, therefore, for the purpose of uniting and coordinating our efforts for maximum power and efficiency and providing folks to win elections, we hereby establish this instrument, the planned organization of the Republican Party of North Carolina. It adds that phrase, and provide folks to win elections. I have no problem with that. The explanation tab says it adds a core responsibility and objective of the NCGOP is beyond unification. We exist to win elections. Okay. 12 and 13, you could lump these together. They both deal with if you fail to attend a precinct meeting, or if you fail to attend a precinct meeting, you can still be elected as a delegate to your county convention. If you fail to attend a county convention, you can still be elected to be a delegate to the district convention. Let's see. Members who wish to be elected as delegates or alternates to a district convention or state convention but are unable to attend their county convention are eligible to be elected. Okay. Precinct members who wish to be elected as delegates or alternates to their county convention but are unable to attend the precinct meeting are eligible to be elected. That one's pretty easy, cut dry change there. Okay. And now, as far as the platform committee report, that one, the problem with the platform has been it basically the platform committee, all they do is they put out the platform. Unlike the plan and organization committee, they are not as organized as platform is not as organized as the plan and organization committee. The platform just puts out the platform pretty much, and they don't put where the changes were made, unlike the plan and organization committee. So it's very hard for me to go in and interpret what in the world's going on with the platform committee report. So, and plus the platform, I'm sure that, we're all a little different. I mean, I am a Republican. I agree with the Republican platform. About 85 to 90% of it. There's a few areas that I do not agree with, but, everybody could find something that they don't agree with in a platform. It's, if I go over it, to me it's going to become what Bobby Crawford thinks of this, and, just it would go into a huge sidebar and just wouldn't work for this particular commentary. Let's go into the last part of the committee reports. That's the report of the resolutions committee. And this one, year after year, is usually it's the one that we hardly ever, we maybe get to one or two of them, but we cannot pass all of them usually for time constraints, or somebody motions to adjourn, or quorum, or something going on. But there were 5 resolutions this year. Last year there were only 4, but that is still down from, we had 12 resolutions in 2014. And the resolutions are on the following topics. We had a resolution to build the wall and protect ICE. We had one on the Electoral College. We had another one on legislative reform regarding absentee by mail voting. Yeah, that's a lot to say there. A resolution supporting NC State Treasurer Dale Falwell. And finally, last but certainly not least, we had a resolution for the sanctity of life. Okay. Resolution 1 on the wall and protect ICE, and resolution number 5 on the sanctity of life. Those, while I agree with those resolutions, I feel those are more national issues. And as you probably know, I tend to cover just local and state political issues. And these resolutions it's already a lot of stuff that you probably already know, too. And I actually already went over the resolution for the sanctity of life on a prior convention video. Okay, it was at a county convention earlier this year. But it should be noted, you would think there would be at least one other resolution, but it sadly did not make the cut, and that was a resolution to close primaries. Hopefully, though, like last year, the resolution to close primaries did not make it to committee, but it'll be presented on the floor of the convention, which I hope. So, okay. Let me go to resolution number 2, the Electoral College resolution. It reads, whereas The Electoral College represents the inspired genius of our founding as brought forth in the United States Constitution. And whereas the Electoral College has worked for over 200 years, ensuring the efficient and peaceful transfer of power, and whereas the so-called national popular vote is a dangerous threat to our constitutional republic, allowing a few states to circumvent the constitutional requirement of 38 states to amend the Constitution, and whereas the national popular vote creates a fake majority by forcing electors to vote against the votes cast by their own constituents, and whereas the elimination of the Electoral College would overnight make irrelevant the vote of Americans in most states, because candidates would only be interested in campaigning in large population states, making small states meaningless zeros. And whereas under the Electoral College, no single faction or region of the country can elect a president, or ensuring a broad representation across America. And whereas there is a movement named the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, in which signing states agree to assign in all their electoral votes, to the candidate who wins the popular vote to sidestep the Electoral College. To date, 11 states have signed to date and represent 172 electoral votes of the 270 votes needed to elect a president. This compact will not go into effect until they reach the 270 total needed to elect the president. This effort would effectively make the Electoral College obsolete. Therefore, be it resolved that the North Carolina Republican Party oppose the national popular vote and any other effort to otherwise undermine the Electoral College, including the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. Okay. Now let's go to resolution number 3. Resolution supported legislative reform regarding absentee by mail voting. Whereas, at the heart of a free society are free, open, and transparent elections that reflect the will of we the people. And whereas, a lack of confidence in our electoral system and processes undermines our democratic republic. And whereas, that voter and or election fraud, including ballot harvesting, is a serious and genuine concern. Whereas the people of North Carolina overwhelmingly voted to amend the North Carolina State Constitution to require identification to cast a ballot in person. And whereas nearly 100,000 absentee by mail ballots were cast across North Carolina during the 2018 general elections. And whereas the requirement for a valid photo identification does not apply to casting an absentee by mail ballot. And whereas Jerry Cohen, former state attorney to this North Carolina General Assembly, noted that election fraud utilizing the absentee by mail voting process is nothing new in North Carolina. And whereas those committing election fraud by utilizing the absentee by mail process often target the most vulnerable North Carolinians, such as individuals with low income and elderly voters. Whereas law enforcement and prosecutorial agencies have failed to investigate and or prosecute election and voter fraud cases across the state of North Carolina. And whereas current minimal criminal sanctions for voter and election fraud fail to adequately reflect the seriousness of the crimes being voted and the harm being inflicted upon the people of the state of North Carolina and our democratic republic. Therefore, be it resolved that the 9th Congressional District Executive Committee and the North Carolina Republican Party urges the North Carolina General Assembly to take all necessary steps to prevent election fraud through the use of the absentee by mail process, and to increase criminal penalties for offenders convicted of voter and or election fraud, including mandatory minimum active sentences of incarceration. Whew, that one is very wordy, but it's very good though. Hope it passes. And finally, and then I'm going to retire my voice for the night here. Resolution supporting North Carolina State Treasurer Dale Folwell. Whereas North Carolina State Treasurer Dale Folwell is working hard for the taxpayers, fulfilling his constitutional duty to safeguard solvency of state programs by his efforts to investigate the $35 billion shortfall in the state health plan to identify needed reforms. And whereas Treasurer Folwell's efforts to bring solvency to the state health plan will benefit the taxpayers of North Carolina, as well as the state employees and retirees who use the state health plan. Whereas certain special interests are seeking legislation to stop Treasurer Folwell in his efforts to reform and make the state health plan solvent. And be it further resolved that we call upon all legislatures from North Carolina to back Treasurer Folwell in his efforts and to defeat any legislation from the special interests that would delay or halt those efforts. Okay. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video as I have dissected these committee reports. And remember, these reports should be taken like a study guide or a roadmap of what is going to transpire on the convention floor on June 7th and 8th. And maybe, probably so, because we officer election, probably June 9th too. Some of this will take place at the executive committee meeting. And we here at the Conservative Pelican are going to cover the whole darn thing from Thursday registration all the way until the gavel hits for the final time at the Sunday afternoon executive committee meeting. I hope you can join me and be a part of democracy in action. For the Conservative Pelican, I'm Bobby Crawford. Thanks for watching, everyone.